Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Target. Target is facing a new disaster. They have layoffs of 500 employees tied to the stores they're forced to close. Their stock is now down $30 billion from when they first announced they had problems with theft. It's down about $25 billion from the time that they offered their massive Pride Month displays with more than 2,000 items dedicated to pushing Pride Month. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. A quick look at Target stock. They're at $105.29, which is down 36.41% in the last 6 months. That's really terrible. When I first started watching the stock, the company's valuation was $74 billion. They're now at $48 billion. That is such a massive drop-off that if that were to continue, they wouldn't exist anymore. I don't see this company going out of business, but I also didn't see this company losing this much value in stock. It's pretty incredible. Part of it is definitely related to the Pride Month boycotts because they need the kind of customers that are willing to just go in there and buy their discretionary items. Basically, discretionary items are like luxury items. They're things you don't really need, but hey, it's fun. You go to Target, they have new merchandise, you pick it up. It's not like buying groceries. A lot of Targets do carry groceries and other essentials, but that's not a big percentage of their business the way that Walmart has managed to make their business not nearly as focused on discretionary items as Target still is. Coming from Finbold, Target stock wipes $30 billion in value in 6 months as violence and theft soar. The violence and theft are obviously not directly related to Pride merchandise. They did not need this whole nonsensical Pride merchandise controversy to be distracting them. They knew they had a theft problem. They knew they had a problem with violence associated with the theft. They could have been focusing on that. And they have made some mentions that they're going to be restructuring how certain merchandise is displayed. They're putting in additional security items. Now, this is a social problem. It's not all Target's fault. But what Target did do that they didn't need to do was take their eye off the ball and focus in the wrong direction. This lack of focus not only meant they weren't able to really execute on their plans and make sure they were dealing with what their priorities were, but it also upset a lot of their customers who do have the disposable income to be able to go and buy this discretionary merchandise. Why would you upset the people that are actually paying your bills? Why? Because you're focused on a silly woke agenda, something that's not inherently focused on delivering for customers. Business is always competitive. There's always someone else who's trying to sell the same kind of thing that you're trying to sell. Target did have kind of a unique experience, but the merchandise is not that unique. Businesses always need to still think about what does our customer want and how can we get it to them with more value, either cheaper or better quality or better perceived value than their competitors. Once companies stop looking at that and they start looking at pushing social agendas or some other ineffective thing like let's grow beyond our ability to be able to take care of our customers, they get into serious trouble. And that's what's happened with Target. Coming from Fox Business, over 500 Target employees affected by New York, Seattle, Oregon store closures. Retail theft cost their industry $112 billion in losses last year. More than 500 Target employees will be impacted by the crime-related store closures in New York, Seattle, and Oregon, according to documents filed in their respective states. There are about 90 employees at the 2 store locations in Seattle that are slated to close by October 21st, according to a worker adjustment and retraining notification filing. When Target announced they were closing these stores, it was very unusual. The short-term announcement, less than 30 days, that they said, okay, hey, we're hysterically running away and getting out of these stores, that is almost unheard of. You don't expect a big chain store to just say, listen, we're going out of business like immediately in these locations. They did do this, which means they seem to be really concerned about what's going on in these stores. There are another 293 employees at the store in New York City, which is also set to close on October 21st, and another 158 employees at the soon-to-be closed stores in Oregon, according to separate notices. Target previously said it will be, quote, partnering closely with all eligible team members to offer them a transfer. Although the stores will close at the end of the month, separations for workers who don't transfer to another location won't take effect until the end of December, according to the documents. That's nice of them to do, and it's something to help people stay alive during the holidays because it means employees who don't move to another location will still receive their regular paychecks through December 30th. The company said in their notices filed in Oregon that it expects few involuntary terminations. The thing of it is, though, these are not really highly paid jobs. People aren't going to be able to transfer and travel all over the place. A lot of people will say, look, I'm not traveling out there. I'll take the pay through the end of December and I'll take unemployment until I can find something else. But the jobs are going to be lost. Target announced last week that it's going to have to close 9 locations due to persistent organized retail crime, which cost the industry $112 billion in losses in 2022. The move comes after CEO Brian Cornell said earlier this year that the company would, quote, continue to do everything in our power to keep our doors open, given that closures hurt communities that rely on them. That was just in May. That was just a couple of months ago. I'm not so sure what changed over the last couple of months, except that their stock price is getting destroyed. And investors are starting to look at this company and saying, wait a minute, you have a massive theft problem. Student loans just started up again. So people with student loans, and that's a lot of people that happen to be Target type customers, millennials, that need to now pay for their student loans. And as a result, will not have extra money to blow on luxury discretionary items they don't really need to survive. Investors are looking at this company and they're saying, I don't really like it. There's a lot of good reasons to not like the company as well, because look, any company that's been through this woke nonsense, the Bud Light stuff, the Disney stuff, the Target stock, why would you invest in a company that would go off and do something that, number one, doesn't please their customers, number two, doesn't attract any new customers? It just doesn't work. How can you trust this company is not going to do something else ridiculous next year or the year after that? Disney stock has completely cratered. It's down to around $79. The Bud Light stock is down. They've bounced back a little bit since their worst numbers over the last couple of weeks, but they're still down around $20 billion. What's the point of investing in a company that isn't focusing on their actual customers? How are you going to evaluate or judge them? Makes no sense. Even with its increased efforts in combating crime, such as adding more security and implementing theft deterrent tools, the company is still facing, quote, fundamental challenges in operating these stores safely, Target said. Industry executives and the National Retail Federation, the largest retail trade group in the nation, agreed that retailers can't be left to fight this problem alone and that policy reform is needed to move the needle. When they say policy reform, they're just saying, look, you've got to actually arrest and have consequences for people that steal. Otherwise, we have these organized gangs of criminals coming in, stealing our merchandise, selling it on the street, selling it online. What are we supposed to do? We can't just supply all this stuff for free. And what's interesting about this, I have some saucy comments from some people on Target's Reddit group talking about and complaining about the stores closing. A couple of them saying, hey, yeah, of course, if the stores aren't making money, it's a business, they're going to close the stores. Where some woke Target employees are saying, well, they make so much money at the other stores, why can't they just subsidize it? People have lost their minds these days. The National Retail Federation has said that initiatives such as raising the felony theft threshold, which is the amount that must be stolen in order to be considered a felony, as well as removing or eliminating cash bail, may have unintended consequences for retail theft. So what's the point? The point is, yes, if you can steal up to $1,000 and not get in serious trouble with a felony crime on your record, of course, there are people out there doing it and they're making a lot of money doing it. So coming from Reddit in their Target social media group, they talk about Target closing the 9 stores in 4 states by October 21st. Here's one person that actually did get transferred, and that's good news. Nobody should be losing their jobs. The employees working at Target weren't the ones responsible for their poor management and their nonsensical Pride Month promotion. From Michael Fishcat recently helped someone get transferred to the Hollywood store last month. Somebody comments here, well, there goes Bryant's new yacht. The Brian they are referring to is Brian Cornell, the CEO of Target. Background B says, honestly, with the amount of theft at these locations, this is saving Target money. CVS, Walgreens, and Walmart have started to move out of these cities. Target is just realizing that now is the time to get out. And then you have this woke person, Elder Emo, saying, Oh no, it's not. The amount of theft at any of these stores doesn't come near the profit they pull in. However, most, if not all, of these locations are buildings that Target doesn't own. It's incredibly easy for Target to just bounce when the lease is up and no longer favorable to them and blame it on theft. Pillow Patrick tries to tell him, it's a business. If they were making money, the stores would stay. Each of these locations takes multiple years of planning and tens of millions in build out and permitting. The idea that they just leave on a whim because the rent is too high or their lease is up is silly. Target isn't great, but thinking of them like an unreliable 20-year-old dodging apartment landlords makes no sense. Elder Emo tries to be condescending and say, I see you don't get how corporations work. They do this all the time. Every single box retailer is overextended. Target will gladly take the losses that come with closing a location, etc., etc. What it comes down to is, while a lot of these employees don't understand what's going on, for example, here's another one who's claiming that Target has $5 million in merchandise at every store. They have 2,000 locations, so that's $10 billion worth of merchandise. Target annually makes over $100 billion. If every sales floor in the US was shoplifted completely, it would barely be 10% of the company's profit. Of course, the inventory that Target puts out to be sold in their stores is not equal to Target's profit. Otherwise, they wouldn't keep citing theft as actually a big problem for them. It really is a big problem. And they are interested in converting themselves to doing more and more online sales, but they're still opening new stores. They want to be in this business. Policy Artistic tries to make some sense and says annual profit for Target is way less than $100 billion. Please edit your misinformation. They then respond saying, you're correct. It's around $28 billion, which is double what a total loss would be for 1 year's profit. The profit for Target is not $28 billion. As Policy Artistic tries to state, $28 billion is still the wrong number to use. That's before any employee salaries are paid. They also have other expenses to cover other than just employee salaries. And of course, they have to pay for the merchandise that they then sell to customers. And they also have to pay for merchandise that doesn't get sold. And they also have to pay for all the merchandise that actually gets stolen. Target is in some serious trouble, especially as their main customer group, the millennials, have to go back to paying student loans. The economy's not doing that well either. But for me, the most serious problem Target has is you can't trust a company that doesn't respect its customers. You never know what crazy thing they're going to do next. They've already announced they have plans to celebrate Pride next year. They shouldn't do any kind of promotion that could potentially result in any kind of boycott. None of these public companies should. They exist to make a profit for their investors and to keep their employees employed and serve their customers. No other reason. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.